Me sitting in my basement can see it. Hey, this is Rick and welcome to Warriors Respite. I'm a social worker and veteran, and pretty much I talk about whatever I want. Anything that impacts society, I want to better my life, your life, and basically want to talk about life and society and what's going on. And I want to share views. Sometimes, usually I'm kind of a milquetoast fence sitter, if I say that right. But today I am going to talk about Bitconned, about a scammer, or a couple scammers, but one infuriating scammer in particular. So I'm going to go over that story. If you haven't seen, I suggest watching that before we go over that. It's one of the most infuriating documentaries you're probably going to see. But first, there's other things we're going to talk about. So today I'm just basically opening up the news. I just Googled news. And what am I seeing here? U.S. airstrikes. That's the main thing I'm seeing. U.S. airstrikes. About Iran, Iraq, Yemen. The same crap over and over again. Seems like the same things I've been hearing for over 20 years. Didn't Joe Biden end the last war on terror in Afghanistan? Wasn't that over? Yeah, I think it's over, right? Like, ending the war in Afghanistan, that was supposed to be the end. Okay, cool. No, not at all, because it just kept coming. We went to Ukraine. We stepped foot in Israel. And now we're airstriking several countries. We're literally at war with like 4 countries right now. Not officially at war. Congress hasn't declared war. I'm not really going to go into too much detail about this. I'm not going to pretend I'm a news cycle. I'm not going to pretend that I have a good opinion on this. I just have one thing to say, and that this is never ending for a reason. Open up your freaking eyes, because if I argue a point either way, this is the thing. If I express an opinion, any opinion on either side, the other side has some kind of counterpoint, and they think they're right. Here's the thing. It's the same bullshit. It's the same bullshit over and over again. We're bombing people. It's the Middle East. It's the same crap. There is no good reason for it. There's no good reason we had, what do we have, like 3 soldiers die a couple weeks ago? 3 U.S. troops killed in a drone attack? More than 30 injured in Jordan? Why? Why did they... What the hell are we doing? And what's that for? What is that for? It's constant. It's constant, people. We're just like... Can we be pissed at it now? Do we just sit here and we're just so desensitized to it that we're just like, oh yeah, USA, USA, and just keep bombing people? And when you bomb people, usually they bomb the wrong people. Usually they bomb the wrong house. And what happens when you bomb that wrong house? Let's say what has happened is you bomb someone's kid or you bomb someone's parents, and that person becomes radicalized. And then we have all these soldiers, just like me, soldiers, Marines, airmen, seamen, naval men and women go to war, and then they get PTSD, get shot, ruin their back, get messed up in the military, in service, and then they get disability. So we're forking out cash to these countries to help them with their war and their defense. We're forking out cash to help with our service members' disabilities, probably for wars that have nothing to do with protecting our borders while our borders are wide open. And we continue never-ending war, never-ending death, while the people up top get richer, keep filling their pockets, and U.S. stays split. The U.S. citizens stay split and justify their side, justify the people they vote for, justify why they should be at war, why we shouldn't be at war, justify their beliefs, and nobody cares because the people in power are going to do what they're going to do regardless of what little old me thinks about. So I can sit here and complain that they're bombing people all day. I can sit here and complain that millions are dying. Children are going off the war. 19, 18-year-olds are going off the war and dying and getting injured. And we're spending all our tax dollars. It's not even we're spending our tax dollars. We're printing money, which is causing hyperinflation, causing people needing 2, 3, 4 jobs to pay their freaking rent. This is a mess, people. This is a mess. And you're being fooled. You're being taken advantage of. Like, someone's going to be mad at me. Someone's going to be mad at me for saying this stuff. Someone's already stopped this podcast. All I'm saying is, I don't even need to say, I don't need to read these articles because half the time these articles from these mainstream media outlets are propaganda. I don't know if they're telling the truth. I just watched the movie Vice the other day. First time watching it. It's about Dick Cheney. And it pretty much talks about how the whole cabinet lied. The whole George W. Bush cabinet lied to get us in Iraq. But yet you want me to trust Trump? You want me to trust Biden? When you literally made a movie? And Dick Cheney had to have signed off on that. He had to have signed off on that to allow that to happen. Because in his mind, he did. And he is the reason we are still at war in the Middle East. And it has never stopped. And I say this as a passionate combat veteran that joined just before 9/11. That was there the whole time. That was there throughout the George W. That was nervous about getting deployed, eventually got deployed. This is never ending. We're being made of a fool out of it. And it just seems to me like we're helpless. Like, is there nothing we can do? Because it seems like nobody cares. No one does anything about it. It's either you vote for Biden or you vote for Trump. If you vote for the middle, Biden or Trump are still getting in. Doesn't matter. If you don't vote, Biden or Trump is still getting in. And then you still got the Senate, and then you still got the House of Representatives. You still got to vote for. And that's a whole crapshoot. So you still got Congress, and the thing is, like, all this is so much to keep up with, too. There are so many moving parts. And even if you get to independent media, there are independent journalists to watch. But then it's like, who do you trust? Because those people are just as biased now. I don't know. Like, I've listened to some independent media outlets, listened to some people that I thought were unbiased, but then I see they're just as biased as the mainstream media, so I don't know who to trust. Or they're just reporting on what they care about. There are a couple podcasts that I listen to, a couple people that I like, that are going to tell some of the truths that I feel are coming from a non-biased stance. From a, we don't take a left or right wing stance. We take a pro-America stance. What's good for the people, not what's good for the Democratic Party, not what's good for the Republican Party. So there are a couple good people out there. I don't want to name anybody, because then if I say that, then people from the left or right come in and start trying to tell me why that person's illegitimate. The people on the left say that person's a right-wing nut, and the person on the right say that person's a libtard. And that's what they do. If that one person who isn't on the left or the right, if I say that person's name, the left and the right say that person's on the other side. So I just stay a fence sitter. What I'm saying is, Joe Biden is just as bad as the rest of them. Barack Obama was just as bad as George W. Bush. Donald Trump could have drained the swamp. He did not. He didn't drain the swamp. Sorry. And he did bomb an awful lot when he first came in office. A lot. Killed a lot of people. So there's blood on hands. So you are not going to find me taking a side on a politician here. Not any politician that's been in office anyways. I'll tell you that. But when I open up the news and I look at the Middle Eastern conflict, I'm seeing the same old shit. That's what I'm seeing. And that's what I'm saying. Same old crap, just a new president. And I have a feeling after this election, just like every other president, if Joe Biden gets reelected, it's going 10 times more, because he doesn't need to get reelected. It's his last term. Not that I think Joe Biden really has control of anything. I think he's a puppet. And if Donald Trump gets elected, it's his last term. So he's going to do what he wants. I honestly do not know the intentions of Donald Trump. of former President Donald Trump. I don't know his intentions, to tell you the truth. I don't know them. I do think that some things were better, but I do think he's done some negative things too. So you can't convince me that to be all the way on board with Donald Trump. You can't. I'm just saying, there's ulterior motives here. When you're talking about bombing in the Middle East and being in the Middle East, we should have been gone a long time ago. We should not be there. We should not be involved. We shouldn't have been in there in the first place. Well, we shouldn't have been in Iraq. Was there a place for it? Probably. But not to the extent that we ended up being in it, and not to the extent that we're in it now. At this point, I'd like to remind you to like, follow, and subscribe to the Warriors Respite podcast on all your favorite places where you find your podcast and social media. You can most likely find a link tree in the description. All right, next on the docket is we're going to talk about Bitconned. I watched the documentary series last night on Netflix. It came out at the beginning of January, and this might be one of the most infuriating documentaries I have ever seen. I have worked with criminals in the past as a social worker, and the criminal mindset is not generally, it's not that all criminals are like this. Not all people that go to prison and jail are like this. But the illness of being a criminal is generally that when I get in trouble, when I go to prison, it's not that I'm going to figure out how to turn it around and be better. It's that I'm going to figure out how to keep doing it and get away with it next time. And that's Ray Trapani in this documentary, Bitconned. And so what happens in this documentary is basically, it starts out with this guy who's getting fitted for this suit, getting tailored for this suit. And he's basically talking about how his whole life he's always wanted to be a criminal. And he's very cocky. And he's this young, handsome boy with this hair slicked back. And he's smarmy, and we also meet Nathaniel Popper, who's a New York Times reporter, and he talks about how he's sniffing out fraud in cryptocurrency, and cryptocurrency was very unregulated at times, which it probably should stay that way, but that's beside the point. Then we talk about Jacob Renzo, who's not a criminal. He's a veteran who's making a meager salary and wants to make some easy money, quick money in the crypto market. And it goes on from there. And we talk about Ray's family, and Ray's looks up to his grandfather. They kind of want us to hate Ray, but at the same time want us to pity Ray. His dad left them. But Ray looks up to his grandfather, but it becomes almost clear what his grandfather did. Ray says his grandfather was a criminal. Ray's mom says she's walked in with his grandfather having suitcases full of money. And Ray's grandmother says, no. That's not true. You think he was in the mafia? I was more in the mafia than he was. He was in the elevator business. Ray, when he was young, stole a prescription pad and was writing unlimited prescriptions of Oxy and was an Oxy addict and would make $5,000 selling Oxy every day with his friends till they got caught one day. And then Ray ratted out his friends and Ray got away. And that's funny because Ray's got a tattoo that says loyalty on his ribs. Later on, Ray borrows money from his grandpa. His grandpa invests into his business. He takes out like $500,000 against his mortgage. And Ray opens a rental service for high-end sports cars with his partner Saurabh Sharma. And it seems successful, but they were indulging in a luxurious lifestyle, spending way more than they earned. They were going on vacations. It was ridiculous. And they went under, and Ray said with his last $100,000 that he had left, he took it to the casino and gambled it all away all night. And then he claimed he tried to commit suicide. Now, I don't believe that. And then they found out about the crypto boom. So Tarpani and his partner Sharma came up with this revolutionary idea about a crypto debit card, but instead of actually creating a business for this, they decided they're going to scam it. They could have they were smart enough to actually come up with this idea. That's the thing. They could have done this, I think. They could have went to Grandpa, but they decided they were going to create this debit card wherever Visa transactions are accepted. They called the company Centra Tech, and they created a professional website, concocted LinkedIn profiles, said they were Harvard grads. They Googled old white guy, took some dude's picture, and said he was the CEO of the company. And they had the dude on there from whose picture they took, and he's like, I feel violated. It was crazy. And people believed this, and they were throwing millions of dollars at this. And they didn't realize it was going to be so big. So they hired employees and they made an office. And then, there was a crypto genius, a guy that reported a lot on cryptocurrency. I forget his name. But he's like, yeah, invest in this. And then that skyrocketed it. He's the guy that makes YouTube videos that interviews Sharma that I'll talk about in a second. And then the reporter, he looked into the LinkedIn profiles. He's like, all the pictures look fake. He's the guy from New York Times. And he's like, everything looks fake on here. They're all from Harvard. And then he's like, they all look former employees from Wells Fargo. Why? Nobody from Wells Fargo would have anything to do with cryptocurrency. So he went down. He called them up and he went down to take pictures, and they thought, oh, it's the New York Times. Wow, they're going to come and take pictures and it's going to go national and we're going to make even more money. And they went down, and the reporter's like, dude, like, it looks like it started out as a scam and now they're trying to make it a legit business. And then some Japanese, I think it was, no, Korean company invested in them, or they tried to video the credit card to Korea, and they were trying to scam it there to make it look like it worked. And then something happened to where it screwed up. They had it something rigged to make it look like a transaction would happen. And then it screwed up and it didn't work. And then the Korean company invested in it anyways. It was jacked up. And then the guy who reported on them, not the New York Times reporter, the cryptocurrency YouTube guy, said this is all a scam. And he invited them on his show on YouTube to talk about it, to be interviewed. So Sharma went on there and totally blew it. The first thing he said was, this is definitely not a scam. And it's like, you totally just outed yourself. That sounds fishy. And that was the downfall. And so basically the FBI came and investigated him. And there's other players involved in stuff like that, right? I'm leaving a lot out. This is just a bad description of what happened. A really bad description, as you can tell. Long story short, the FBI investigated them and everything. And Trapani, again, he just rats everybody out. He rats everybody out. He's on house arrest. Gets some woman pregnant. And he's having a child and everything, and goes to court. Swarmer gets 8 years in prison. Another partner gets a year. People are. He's the main guy. Trapani is the main guy in this. Everybody else gets prison time in prison. Trapani gets time served. He does not get any time in prison. I am speechless about this. I don't give a crap if he ratted people out. He needs to spend some time in prison. He's the main guy here. This, yet again, if you've listened to my podcast in the past, this is why I keep reporting on true crime. This is why I keep talking about true crime and our politics and our justice system and yada, yada, yada. It's the same old, same old. It's all the same. It's all jacked up. Like, I'm not reporting on things that are going well. Can I report on I probably could report on a case that went well, but there's so many things that are just going so terribly wrong. How does this guy get 0 days in prison? Nobody got their money back. This guy bought a house afterwards. How does he buy a house? And then he's smiling. He's smiling. And he's quiet. And he's like, Yeah, I got away with it. He's proud of himself. He's proud of himself for getting away with it. He's proud of himself for getting away with it. And these people, they do keep some of that money. The feds do not get all that money because they hide a lot of that money. The feds can't keep track of all that money. They launder a lot of that money. And they keep it elsewhere. Ray has money elsewhere, dude. And he just bought a house. He's a criminal. He never committed suicide. His father is a mob boss. His grandfather is a mob boss, dude. His grandfather taught him how to be a criminal. His grandfather taught him how to get away with it and what to do with all that money and how to get out scot-free. It's so simple and so easy and so obvious, but the feds are so freaking dumb. Our court system is so freaking dumb. Me sitting in my basement can see it. I can see it, but an FBI agent or a judge whose job is to spend all day, every freaking day, trying to put criminals away can't see it. Or if they can see it, they don't give a crap. That's what hurts me the most. They don't give a crap. Or if they do give a crap, they have this lesser of two evils bullshit. There's no such thing as lesser of two evils. It's either you're good or evil, and this Ray piece of shit is evil. He is evil. And he needs to be in prison. No ifs, ands, or buts. If you steal from people, you are evil. I do not care. Because now, guess what? He's going to do it again. But he's doing a Netflix documentary and probably being paid good money to do a Netflix documentary. Thanks a lot, Netflix, for paying this guy. This documentary should have never been made. Because now you're making him a lot of money to make this GD documentary. This is horse shit. The court system failed us. Corporations failed us. Yay! Don't you like my podcast? I make you happy now. Okay, anyways. I'm glad I've made you happy. I'm glad you are happy now. You're happy now that you listened to my podcast. You've listened to my rant and my cursing. Thanks for listening to Warriors Respite. And please listen to me next time. Put in another podcast tomorrow, Tuesday. Please like, follow, subscribe anywhere you listen to your podcast or find your social media. As usual, stay mangled and strangled in peace. Peace out.